Heartbreaking details about Danny DeVito. Pretty much everyone can agree on Danny DeVito. There's just something about the highly recognizable actor that makes him extremely likable, even if he's playing a less than savory individual on screen. Despite all the joy he exudes and brings to TV and movies, DeVito has lived a life that has been touched by tragedy, sorrow, and heartbreak. Here are the heartbreaking details about him. Before we get into it, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to never miss out on more videos. Danny DeVito was born with a chronic health condition. Certainly the most talked about physical attribute of Danny DeVito is his stature. He's one of the most noticeably slight actors in Hollywood, standing around 60 inches tall. On a really good day, he is 5 feet short. It's pretty difficult for him to play in anything but the little guy. But the reason behind DeVito's height is medical. The beloved actor was born with Fairbanks disease, also known as multi-epiphyseal dyslexia or MED. The National Institutes of Health characterize the condition as a multiskeletal disease, which affects and inhibits bone and cartilage development. In addition to the below average adult height, people with MED are also more likely to suffer from early onset arthritis, pain in the joints, the curvature of the spine, and difficult walking. DeVito was never teased or bullied over his height while growing up, and although it has limited the variety of roles available to him, he thinks it was more of a help than a hindrance when he was first auditioning. An alcoholic father raised him in a rough town. When DeVito was born in 1944, he was into an already sizable family from Asbury Park, New Jersey, coping with common and unique challenges. DeVito's mother, Julia DeVito, 40 years old at the time of his birth and the parent of 2 teenage daughters. Meanwhile, DeVito's father, Daniel DeVito Sr., bopped around different low to moderately paying jobs to support the family, including operating a candy store, dry cleaners, and a pool hall. The elder DeVito also dealt with alcoholism, which made it for a fret for family dynamics. His father had a drinking problem and was sick in that way, and his father was a sweet man during the day, but as soon as he had a drink, he went off the deep end. He felt vulnerable. His father's alcohol addiction was only partially what led Danny DeVito to leave home at 14 when he convinced his parents to send him off to boarding school. That way he could escape heroin, which had been creeping into Asbury Park in the late 50s, and trapping some of DeVito's friends. There were other temptations too. Mental health issues surrounded the making of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Danny DeVito landed his first major film role in 1975, Jack Nicholson starring adaptation of Ken Kesey's mental hospital set novel, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. DeVito reprised the role of Anthony Martini, which he originated in the story of off-Broadway production, so his part he held close to his heart and one for which he was willing to put himself through a series of exhausting and painful challenges. To prepare for the role of a mentally ill man who endures frightening hallucinations, DeVito spent time observing the residents of a facility on New York Ward's Island. DeVito suffered a mental health episode during production, developing such severe separation anxiety from his then-girlfriend, Rhea Perryman, that he came up with an imaginary friend to keep himself company. DeVito sought out and received treatment from Dr. Brooks. Danny has had some scary on-set experiences. Danny DeVito just wants to act and do so in peace and without threat to life or limb, but that's too big of a request for the universe to grant because he's been injured or came face to face with death during production more than once. When DeVito portrayed the Penguin in 1992's Batman Returns, one scene called for a monkey to deliver a note to him from Batman. The actor in full penguin costume upset the monkey. He remembers the monkey latching onto his leg with his teeth, and it did take an animal trainer to pry it off. Fortunately for DeVito, his costume was well padded and he did not feel a thing besides panic. Decades later, a 2016 episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia included an underwater sequence where the show's main characters are about to drown to death. Fortunately, a safety diver jumped into action and pulled DeVito out of the water. The restaurant business ate up Danny DeVito. In 2006, DeVito appeared on The View to promote Deck the Halls, but the most memorable takeaway from the interview was that DeVito was drunk. He had immediately been out with a pal, George Clooney, chugging limoncello the night before and he hadn't sobered yet. That led to DeVito launching his limoncello brand, with the booze naturally leading to the actor into the restaurant business. DeVito liked to show up at the restaurant and greet customers, but by 2010, the venture was in deep trouble. When Monero couldn't repay the hefty loans incurred over DeVito South Beach, he unloaded his ownership over other restaurants in his portfolio. That same year, employees sued the restaurant's management, alleging they were getting stiffed on paychecks and their cut of tips. So that's all. Stay tuned and subscribe to our channel for more.